From the heart of Baylor Bear Country, the most comprehensive pregame coverage. This is Game Day Live, powered by Sikkim 365 and KWTX News 10.
We'll do a couple of things. Let's have that graphic. And good afternoon, Game Day Live, and it's a gorgeous day in Central Texas. Crisp, beautiful sunshine, but today we focus in on Norman, Oklahoma after the bad storms that went through Texas and Oklahoma and Arkansas, and hopefully all of you came out of it okay. Paul Catalina, Craig Smoak, I'm David Smoak. Garrett Ross runs the mothership. Today we're going to hear from RG3, Dave Aranda, former Oklahoma All-American Gabe Icard, and also Baylor's Director of Athletics, Mack Rhodes. We will join Darby Brown momentarily in Norman for the game that kicks off between Baylor and Oklahoma at just after 2 on ESPN+. Paul Catalina, Craig Smoak. Craig, we start with you. Your thoughts. We've discussed the game. It's finally here. Your thoughts about the keys for Baylor and Oklahoma today.
The keys, as far as I'm concerned, is just playing the way that we saw them play last week. Just playing with an attitude, playing with a focus, and playing like a team that, realizes that they can't afford to make too many mistakes and shoot themselves in the foot too often and feel like they can overcome that every time. I mean, I think that this team has to realize at this point that the only thing that's really stood in their way is them. And if they can just go out there and play a sharp game from start to finish, that they have a really good chance to win for only the second time ever in Norman, Oklahoma. So today for me is not about Oklahoma and necessarily what they do. I mean, there's going to be things that they do that, obviously Baylor's going to have to counteract and not be too overcome or surprised by. But for me, if they go out there and play their brand of football, it's not so much important what Oklahoma does. It's, Baylor does that, and I feel good about their chances.
Yeah, I think that, this is, similarities last week is once again Baylor's playing a team with the exact same record as them, and you are what your record says you are for different reasons for both squads. But these are two teams that are trying to fight their way out of the middle of the pack now, and it could do that. A win today puts you again one step closer out of being in the middle of the pack. Oklahoma started to play better. Their defense, I'm not sure if that's much improved. They played a bad offense in Iowa State last week, so I don't know if that's much improved, but Baylor is still going to have to lock in, not shoot themselves in the foot, because that is really, and no disrespect to anybody who's beat them other than maybe Oklahoma State, but Baylor's problem has been getting out of their own way in the games that they've lost, especially the most recent one in West Virginia. They appear to have maybe moved a little past that, especially with last week in Lubbock, but you can't let those things pop up again.
TCU at the top of the Big 12 standings, 5-0 right now, even with Texas Tech in Fort Worth, 10-10. TCU has the football inside their 40. In fact, now inside their 30 as Texas Tech's defense has come up with a couple of huge plays. Tyree Wilson on a 4th and 1, TCU up 7-0 inside the Texas Tech 20. Stopped the Frogs. Baron Morton just limped out on the last drive, but right now that game is tied at 10 apiece. We'll get to a lot. Here's the graphic on the series, and then we go to Darby Brown and Norman with Chris Williams as well. Here is the Baylor-Oklahoma series, which was completely dominant and one-sided overall, but then has evened out a little bit over the last 12 years. Oklahoma leads it 26-4. Baylor in Oklahoma is 1-14. The one win was in 2014 when they took the heart and soul away from Oklahoma football with Bryce Petty. First time they met back in 1901. Oklahoma won. Last time they met last year in Waco, Baylor winning 27-14, and they absolutely frustrated Caleb Williams and Spencer Rattler and Lincoln Riley in a win. Baylor's wins 11, 13, 14, and 21. That's what they've done in the last 12 years. Oklahoma has winning streaks of 20 straight and 7 straight against Baylor up until last year, and that includes the 2019 Big 12 championship game. So it's been one-sided, not surprised. Oklahoma has one-sided series leads against a lot of people, but Art Briles and Baylor were able to kind of calm that down a little bit. And then, of course, also the win by Dave Aranda and company last year in Waco. We now go to Norman, Oklahoma. Darby Brown from KWTX is there here on the Game Day Live. And Darby, thank goodness this game wasn't played late last night or even yesterday with all the storms. Is it a beautiful day in Norman, Oklahoma? And glad to have you with the show, with us on the show today.
Yeah, hey, you guys, it is a beautiful day out here. I will say I had to use the ice scraper this morning. It was that cold when I got up for our morning show. So it was pretty cold this morning, but now it's sunny. The temperature is rising, so it looks like a beautiful day. Definitely glad they did not play yesterday, like you mentioned. We had a lot of high school games disrupted, so enough of that, and it looks like it's a good day for a game.
Darby, what do you think Baylor's keys are today to make sure they don't trip up in Norman?
Yeah, I heard Craig say it. That's kind of what I've been saying. The team that showed up in Lubbock last week needs to be the Baylor team that shows up here in Norman today. I think that they looked like a different team last week and put together a complete game, pretty much all 4 quarters. And we're playing complementary football, which is something Dave Aranda always is striving for in his group. So I think if we see that group today, they have a really good shot, just to say an overall key.
Darby, there was obviously a lot of build-up to last week's game with the familiarity and, all the Joey McGuire crossover talk and just what it means for the Big 12. This is an important game for both teams who, obviously want to get another win and both want to continue being on win streaks. What kind of a sense do you get of just sort of the anticipation or excitement or importance level from Oklahoma fans and being there in Norman for this game?
Yeah, I think they're pretty excited. I feel like they feel like they're trending in the right direction. I even heard a little bit of a pregame video that's going to go up here, and I think it kind of alluded to that too, that I feel like they feel like they're sort of taking a turn. I think Baylor fans feel like their team's sort of taking a turn. So I think the excitement level is pretty high for both groups. These Oklahoma fans have been out here all morning. I was up here at 8 to do a live shot, and they were already setting up for their tailgate. So they are going to be here, and they're going to be loud. I heard some Boomer Sooner chants happening just moments ago. So they're excited, I think, for this one.
Boomer Sooner is one of the most dynamic, emphatic, and it depends on who you like, either one of the best or one of the most annoying fight songs after something goes well if you're playing against Oklahoma. Your thoughts about the defense, Darby, that we referred to last week in Lubbock? 8 tackles for losses, 6 sacks, 5 turnovers, all of what they did. And it seemed like, and you guys were there, it seemed like that to me really is what creates the energy for this Baylor football team.
Oh, no doubt about it. I think it all starts with the defense. And they talked about how they were really striving to be physical and be aggressive last weekend. So I hope to see them be the same way today. I mean, I think they were really getting at the quarterback, forcing those turnovers. I don't know if they'll be able to force quite as many turnovers today because Dylan Gabriel just doesn't give the ball up quite as much. I think he's had 1 interception this season. So I can expect that, but they can put pressure on him and make him uncomfortable. And I feel like their offense fed off of it. So I think it does start with the defense, and that's definitely, they got to be physical and be aggressive today. Be disruptive. That's what I would say to describe both of those.
So, Darby, it is your first trip to Norman. What are your thoughts on the stadium? And, that is a venue among venues in college football.
Yeah, the venue is beautiful. It's a beautiful historic stadium here, and you can feel it. You can feel the history. And so I like Norman so far. It's a little bit of, I think it just is a picturesque college town. It also outside is a lot more trees out here. So it feels like perfect fall vibe as well. And Paul, you heard it, but they were doing some sort of Native American ceremony going on before the game, and I'm sure they'll do that at some point during the game for the fans. So there's a lot of history, a lot of cool traditions out here, so it's been fun so far.
All right, Darby, thank you very much for being with us on the show, Game Day Live when you are. Darby with Chris Williams up in Norman. Thanks for your time. We'll hear from you in about an hour or so. Again, this show on CW Channel, powered by 365 Sports, Baylor and Oklahoma Game Day Live. Texas Tech and TCU remain tied. That game is now with 6 minutes plus to go in the second quarter. And Texas Tech's defense is playing very well, although they gave up an early score, and TCU had a chance again to plug one in earlier to make it 14-0, but they failed on 4th and 1.
And TCU hurt another quarterback again. Baron Morton out of the game after they twisted his ankle, and I don't know, man. That just seems to be happening like a whole lot at this point. I mean, at this stage, the coincidences are starting to not be so coincidental, in my opinion. I mean, that's another starting quarterback that goes out and.
Well, did you see? I don't know what happened on the play.
They tackled him and twisted his ankle.
Oh, okay.
So, like I just said, I think Twitter's picking up on it as well. That it's crazy how this just keeps happening over and over again. So, yeah, Tyler Shuck in the game now for Texas Tech, and we'll see how he does with this opportunity.
By the way, Smokey, TCU's touchdown was not on offense. It was a punt return.
Punt return by Davis. Yeah. So they have not. They created a field goal attempt, had a 4th and 1 stop, and Texas Tech. You had a feeling either they were going to just after what happened at home against Lubbock, or they were going to get their hair on fire and put something together. And so far, right now, they're in TCU territory, just past the 50. The game tied at 10-10 with just under 6 minutes to go in the second quarter. Other games today besides Baylor, Oklahoma at 2 on ESPN+. Oklahoma State is in Lawrence against Kansas. 18th-ranked Cowboys at 2:30, as is the 2:30 kick, West Virginia and Ames against Iowa State. And then tonight, 6 o'clock, it is Texas, 24th in the country according to the college football rankings and standings, on the road against Kansas State, coming off that throttling of Oklahoma State 48-0. A couple of other teams that are in the Big 12 next year. UCF now in the top 25 plays at Memphis at 2:30 today. Cincinnati at home against Navy today. Houston plays at SMU tonight. And Brigham Young and Boise State play tonight at 6 o'clock. That's what we have there. When we come back, there's a lot to get to. We'll hear from Mack Rhodes. Remember the TV deal. It seemed like that was weeks ago, but it was Sunday when that story came out. Mack Rhodes, Baylor's director of athletics, on that, plus this Baylor-Oklahoma game being on ESPN Plus and the story behind that. We'll hear again from Robert Griffin III, Dave Aranda, Gabe Icard, and you on the text line at 254-339-1122, and also on YouTube, 365 Sports. This is Game Day Live.
Game Day Live on News 10 is sponsored locally by TFNB, your bank for life, Advanced Pain Care, and Central Texas Plumbing Solutions.
Chronic pain robs people of the joy of life.
The pain in my back was horrible. I was told I would have a lifetime of pain and probably need more surgery.
When Mrs. Morris first came to Advanced Pain Care, she told us she wanted her life back. We have cutting-edge treatment for chronic pain.
They recommended a spinal cord stimulator, and it has been absolutely life-changing. I'm so much happier. I would absolutely say Advanced Pain Care got my life back.
Call Advanced Pain Care today. There is hope. Advanced Pain Care. The pain stops here.
We all are experiencing how the current crisis is affecting our communication. Conducting virtual meetings or classes from the workplace or your home while maintaining security, efficiency, and effective communication throughout your organization is the new normal. Asbel Electronics can set up your business, school, or house of worship with hardware kits to enhance your virtual meeting experience and provide secure market-leading Cisco WebEx meeting or Teams for your face-to-face communication. Call Asbel Electronics at 254-824-0237.
Mack Rhodes, Director of Athletics at Baylor, 365 Sports. What a weekend it was. What a Sunday it was. What a game in Lubbock it was. And, Mack, thank you for your time with Craig and Paul, David Smoak as well. So let's start, if you don't mind, with Sunday, the release of at least the story in the Sports Business Journal. Not official yet from the Big 12 point of view, but your thoughts about the story, the details, and everything about a TV deal that's done.
Yeah, I think one, I think I can share that, that story is extremely accurate. And so I think the facts, the numbers, the terms, so to speak, in the article are all accurate. And so it was, Sunday was an exciting day for I think the Big 12, and obviously, it was a day where I think many of us were fielding a bunch of phone calls, and it's a little bit hard to speak to because it hasn't been officially announced by obviously the conference and or our TV partners, but I don't think anybody would mind me saying that again, those facts are accurate, and we're excited about it, and it positions the Big 12, I think, really, really well when we think about the future of college athletics, the future of Power 5, CFP, all of that. I think it provides stability, and obviously it provides an uptick in revenue when many thought, just as recent as 6 to 12 months ago, that we'd go backwards, and we're not. And so I think that's really exciting and healthy for the league moving forward.
Mack, did you entertain thoughts of having to run the athletic department with, say, half of the TV budget when everything went down, or did you have to focus on full steam ahead and let's make sure that doesn't happen before you really got there?
Yeah, that's a great question, Paul. Yeah, very, very truthfully, we began to do a lot of budget cost modeling, and what could this look like? 15 million down a year, 7.5 million down a year, and then alongside parallel to that, really doubling down on revenue generation, and since we arrived 6 years ago, we've been really blessed. I've got a great team, led by Jovan, on the external side. And when you think about revenue generation, whether that's Bear Foundation, ticket sales, multimedia rights, licensing, all of those things, we have broken every record by a wide margin. And so we had conversations, obviously strategic plans about, we need to continue to do that, and we're going to need to double down. And by the way, just because of this new or future, TV deal, we're still going to need to do that, because again, college athletics, just this crazy environment that we're in, it continues to be more expensive when we think about all the deregulation that has happened and is going to happen here in the future. But Paul, it's a great question, and yes, so we went through all of that, and at the same time, still full steam ahead, and we got to find a way to make this work.
All right, I got one more question for you, if you don't mind, and I do want to at least ask you about Lubbock, because what an incredible win and atmosphere. You have Oklahoma this week, and I know that Oklahoma's down, but it's Oklahoma. The game is on ESPN+. Did that surprise you? And is it going to be even more of that in the future with the newest deal? Because that seems to be probably a disappointment for a lot of people, that game is not on some sort of regular, let's say, an ESPN other than streaming, or a Fox or somewhere else.
Yeah, so it didn't surprise me. And I certainly understand, some disappointment. It's intentional, right? It's, ESPN wanting to grow subscriptions for ESPN Plus. And then, I think to answer the last part of that question, there will still be, primarily, with the new TV deal, the number of games on either ABC, ESPN, ESPN2 will continue to be substantial. And then certainly, Fox broadcasting rights, the I call it the big Fox right, and then FS1, the other linear. So, there will be still substantial most games, football on the linear platforms. Appreciate y'all. Have a great day.
You too, Mack. Mack Rhodes, Baylor's Director of Athletics.
Edward Jones Financial Advisors Ben Erlinson, Chuck Verno, Brad Wilson, and Cam Heathcott understand these are difficult and changing times we live in, but they know how important your financial investments are to you. So is your financial advisor staying in touch with you and helping you navigate today's financial climate? Invest with Edward Jones Financial Advisors Ben Erlinson, Chuck Verno, Brad Wilson, and Cam Heathcott, who invest their time and experience back to you and your money. And like coaching athletes, investing money is about time, patience, and encouragement. Contact Ben Erlinson at 254-759-8533, Chuck Verno at 720 North 64th Street, Brad Wilson's location at 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, and Cam Heathcott in Conroe. Edward Jones Financial Advisors, Edward Jones Financial Advisors, Ben Erlinson, Chuck Verno, Brad Wilson, and Cam Heathcott, proud sponsors of 365 Sports. Edward Jones, making sense of investing, member SIPC.
Did you know Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lakeshore Drive in Waco is open to the public? Next time you're in town for a Baylor athletic event or you're in town for tourism, take advantage of their day passes for $10 a piece or the weekend for $30. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness offers 40 group exercise classes, including indoor cycling and yoga, boot camp, and bar. New free weights, weight machines, TRX rowing machines, stationary bikes, new treadmills, new elliptical machines, and a spacious weight room floor. Personal training with Christy London, Randall Corley, and Alec Botch, where you will be encouraged to grow. Sauna, whirlpool, tanning bed, kids club, 16 tennis courts, and 8 pickleball courts, and youth and adult tennis and pickleball lessons available. Waco's premier experience where you can help your mind, body, and soul. Visit wacotennis.com or visit them next to Hawaiian Falls on Lakeshore Drive in Waco.
Pizza, burgers, and Bears football. There's no place around Waco that serves them all other than Bubba's 33. Come show your green and gold and enjoy some of Waco's best food and beverages while watching your favorite team, the Bears. When real Bears fans get hungry, Bubba's 33 is the #1 spot for ice-cold drinks, hand-stretched, stone-baked pizzas, and bacon-infused burgers. Join us for indoor or patio dining. Bubba's 33, Waco's restaurant and proud supporter of Baylor Bears football. Sick 'em, Bears.
TFNB Your Bank for Life is the official local bank of Baylor Athletics. Find out why more Central Texas are making TFNB their bank for life. Sign up for our Edge checking and savings accounts to earn interest or cash back. With 5 convenient locations and an award-winning mobile app, banking has never been easier. TFNB Your Bank for Life. Member FDIC.
Game Day Live on Sikkim 365 Radio is brought to you by Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, TFNB, Your Bank for Life, Richard Carr Buick GMC Cadillac, Three Nations Brewing Company, Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness, Edward Jones Advisors, Ben Erlinson, Chuck Verno, Brad Wilson, and Cam Heathcott, and Bubba's 33.
Here we go, Game Day Live with Craig Smoak, Paul Catalina. I'm David Smoak. Garrett Ross behind the scenes running the mothership. TCU and Texas Tech down to the last 61 seconds at halftime. TCU's one touchdown was a punt return by Davis, and they're threatening, though, inside the Texas Tech 20-yard line with 1:01 to go, as they have, they've at least right now, Quentin Johnston, the great receiver they've had, who's been award-winning most of the year. Apparently he has an ankle issue. Baron Morton out, ankle injury for Texas Tech, at least for now. But Texas Tech is still moving the ball. But Duggan, guys, Texas Tech is getting to him. They have sacked him, I think, at least twice, really rattled him a little bit. But here come the Frogs now, a chance to take the lead.
Yeah, I think that TCU's a team that once they can grab the momentum in this game, that they'll keep it. But Tech's done a great job of not letting them do it so far. I thought that after that, I walked into the room just as the punt return happened here today, and I thought, oh, well, here, Tech's still in a funk, but they've done a great job today. But TCU looks like they're about to score.
Yeah, and they're running the ball with Miller and Diamarco, and down inside now the Texas Tech 10. Craig, they've come back. The defense, they will make some plays. The problem is they'll have blown coverages changes. This is one of the worst teams to do that against.
Yeah, TCU is super explosive, and right now they're grinding away a little bit, but they can hurt you quickly. So have to be close to perfect if you're Tech, and they played a really solid first half, and yet still might find themselves down 7 going in unless they can get a kind of miraculous stop right here, and maybe they do. As Max Duggan's trying to get away and can't, but yeah, they're playing feisty. I said all week that I thought this would be a competitive game, that Joey McGuire would have his guys ready to play. There's been bad blood between these two fan bases because of the whole, basketball tickets thing and football tickets. The whole just tickets in general has become a trash talking point for these two fan bases back and forth. So you had that, and just the added element of Joey McGuire and Sonny Dykes and wanting to win and all of that, and relatively close proximity, big fan base of Tech fans in the DFW area, and makes for a really feisty game so far, and a couple injuries that are wild cards that make this a little bit more uncertain when you're looking at the impact of a Baron Morton on one side and the impact of a Quentin Johnston on the other. So
well, yeah, TCU has hit a couple of throws, but the Johnston not in the game, at least for now, you would think would help Texas Tech perhaps not have to worry about. Not that they don't have explosive receivers, because they do. So that game's going on. It's 17 seconds to go in the half. Max Duggan in the offense, 3rd and 10, inside the Texas Tech 20. He was just hit for a tackle for a loss in that last play. How about this? I wonder if, they've trailed in some games, affects Northwestern 7, Ohio State, number 2 ranked team in the country, nothing. With 4:55 left in the first half, Henderson, their running back, is out today as Northwestern leads Ohio State. Don't know if that holds up or not. Probably not, but Northwestern with a 7-0 lead in the second quarter against the Buckeyes. Also, Virginia, 14-10 halftime over North Carolina. May is 109 yards for North Carolina. Cavaliers lead by 4. And right now, Tulane, with a minute to go in the second quarter in the first half, leads Tulsa 17-0. Those are the games in the top 25 that are now in progress. A&M. This was from earlier this morning. Pete Thamel reporting there was a flu outbreak at A&M. The team and the campus leaving the status of multiple players in flux for their game with Florida, including Connor Wegman, the quarterback. Among the players, Haynes King did get the start in this game. And on top of that, right now, Florida leads A&M with 2:52 to go, clock running. Aggies are driving against the Gators. The Gators up by 3. And Haynes King's look pretty good.
The offense has moved the ball. Surprisingly enough, that's not something they've done really all year. I saw a stat earlier that their offensive efficiency is 34% this year, which is the worst in the SEC. And Vanderbilt's in the SEC. Just want to throw out there that for Jimbo. But they're moving the ball today, and early on getting the ball to A-Chain more. And, that seems to work. But Florida putting up a fight, and A&M's defense has been really solid all year. Not doing great against the Gators, who Anthony Richardson's having one of the better games in the last few weeks.
Had a long 60-yard touchdown run in that game. Right now, A&M about to punt now. They just did. 2:39 to go, trailing Florida by 3. A-Chain had a long run to set up the opening touchdown and score for the Aggies.
And look, today might be upside down day. Nebraska's shutting out Minnesota at half. Iowa is scored 17 points in the first half against Purdue. So.
Yeah, and that's 17-3 Iowa late second quarter. Here was a note from Bruce Feldman earlier today on the coaching search to replace Scott Frost and or interim Mickey Joseph. Here are the 4 names. Paul, you sent this to me. Matt Rule, former Baylor and Temple coach, fired by Carolina. Jeff Monken, Army. I think that'd be a great fit for him. And then also Bill O'Brien. That doesn't get me at all goosed up or anything like that. O'Brien, Alabama's offensive coordinator. And then there's a name that was involved a long time ago in Nebraska's search, but it didn't happen. Former TCU head coach and Texas specialist Gary Patterson. Thoughts on any of those? We knew that Matt Rule's name would probably pop up, and we also knew about maybe Gary Patterson. Monken's the intriguing one for me.
I think that's a nice little outside the box thought on Jeff Monken. He's done a really good job at Army, but you're you're kind of limited what your accomplishments are going to be there. That coaching job, that and Navy and Air Force tend to be more of a calling than necessarily you're going to win conference titles, which, at a couple of them they're independent, so you can't, you're going to win national titles. That's never really going to be probably a thing there, but it is such a noble coaching job and a great thing to coach these kids who are going on to great things as America's heroes. But if you're Jeff Monken, you've done a lot of good things there, and maybe it's time to try something bigger. And I kind of like that idea. I do. I'd like to see personally Matt Rule get it, but Monken to me is a great idea. Bill O'Brien just doesn't seem outside the box enough and spark enough. And look, Gary Patterson can probably build a program, but at this point, if you're Nebraska, do you want to bring in a 63-year-old guy to do that? No. I'd want somebody who's definitely more long-term.
Yeah, I mean, that's an intriguing list. Bill O'Brien does nothing for me. Really good football coach in various points in his career. Obviously a great pedigree and all of that, and being at Alabama, he gets some of that Saban rub, but that just does nothing to excite me if I'm a Nebraska fan, even if it's something that pays off in the long term. I don't know. I need a little bit oomph right away to feel excited and rally around, and I don't know if that would do it for me. I don't know if the others really do it either, though. I mean, depending on, I guess, probably who you talk to. But Gary Patterson's a heck of a football coach. Not sure his feelings on now life in Austin and being able to play his music and be an assistant that doesn't have a lot of pressure on his shoulders versus being the head of a program. I'm not sure what his itch is to get back into the game. So, if he's interested, I think you obviously have to look long and hard at him. Monken's intriguing and a little bit of a different, outside the box idea, as you mentioned. And then I feel like Matt Rule's just sort of the default candidate for every open job at this point. And that's great for him. I think he obviously seems pretty bound for a return to the college level, and I think he'll do well wherever he lands, but it does seem like he's up for pretty much every job that's out there. So that's, good for his chances. And if he sets back on that buyout, then I think everybody would understand that too. So I guess it's just whatever itch, kind of like Patterson, that he has to want to come back by next year. But, interesting list.
All right, so here's a note about Monken and Army. Then we take a break and come back with Gabe Icard, former consensus All-American, and now a part of Sirius XM Radio from Oklahoma. Army football, from 1997 until Monken arrived, did not have a winning season, but one winning season. In 2010, they were 7-6. Monken, since he arrived, his third year, 8 wins, 10 wins, 11 wins, and then a year they won just 5, 9, and this year right now they are 3-4. So he's a rebuilder. Matt Rule, we know, is a rebuilder. Not so sure about O'Brien. And Patterson, of course, took over for Francione and did a great job at TCU. This is 365 Sports and Game Day Live.
My name is Carolyn Bess, and I'm Executive Director of the Waco Symphony Association. For 6 decades, we've been raising up future musicians by giving instruments to middle schoolers, scholarships for the Waco Symphony Youth Orchestra, and by funding Baylor interns in the Waco Symphony Orchestra. Help us celebrate our 60th anniversary by raising $60,000 for education and outreach. Invest in our youth today to make beautiful music tomorrow.
At Dr. Smiley, you're always our top priority. Dr. Lee, Dr. Lim, and the friendly staff are committed to delivering exceptional and professional care in general, family, cosmetic, and emergency dental services. Get $24.99 implant, abutment, crown, 3D CB CT scan, and consultation. Dr. Smiley accepts Medicaid and most dental insurance. Call Dr. Smiley today at 254-732-2606 and book your appointment today.
When storms damage your roof, there's only one place to call, and it's Montgomery Construction and Roofing. MCR offers detailed bids for affordable quality roof repair and replacement. Schedule your free inspection and make sure your damage is repaired right the first time. Our claim specialist can help walk you through filing an insurance claim for wind and hail, too.
Say goodbye to damaged roofs and yes to Montgomery Construction and Roofing. We roof Texas, and we are here to serve you.
Catch up on the day's news with KWTX News 10.
was a consensus All-American, played a long career in the National Football League, and is now part of Sirius XM. Does a show with Teddy Lehman and other shows as well, and he joins us on 365 Sports with Paul, Catalina, Craig, and David Smoak. Gabe, thank you for your time as always. So Oklahoma seems to have turned the corner. How much is the belief factor that they have?
Yeah, that's an interesting question, Smokey. And I'm not sure if they've turned the corner per se, but they're definitely more confident than they were a couple weeks ago. And nothing creates confidence quite like winning football games. But just thinking about that game last weekend in Ames, Iowa against Iowa State, the defense, played as good as we've seen them play, now, albeit against a poor offense from the Cyclones, but that's as good as they've played since the Nebraska game. I mean, it's been a long time. So those guys experiencing a little success. We'll see if we end up looking back at that Iowa State performance as some type of turning point for Oklahoma's defense. And then offensively, they've been really close to being really good. And I actually thought that they played pretty efficiently offensively last weekend, but just some uncharacteristic drops from wide receivers kind of prevented them from having the type of day that I think that they could have had. And I will say, I do think Jeff Lebby has found a rhythm as a play caller for Oklahoma, and they're starting to do some really creative things offensively. So it's better than it was when they were sitting at 3-3, but there's still a lot of improvement for the Sooners, Smokey.
Gabe, the defense that we've heard is really hard to grasp. Do you think that last week, because they were able to play against an offense that doesn't throw as many things at them, they were able to grasp more of those concepts and will have more confidence going forward?
I think that Iowa State's got a very vanilla offense and an offensive line that is not playing at a very high level. So while I was pleased with the way that Oklahoma played defensively, forcing 3 turnovers is always a positive thing. I do think that Baylor is definitely going to be a much more difficult test for what Oklahoma's defense, especially with what Oklahoma's defense has struggled with. Iowa State they could not stress Oklahoma defensively when it comes to their run game. They just did not have, they didn't have the offensive line play, and they don't have the backs. But now you see, with the veteran offensive line that Baylor's got, now that they've got Keith back at right tackle, it seems like things are coming together a little better in the emergence of Richard Reese. Now, I think Oklahoma's defense, for the most part of the season, has really struggled to stop the run against good competition. And Baylor is going to test what has been the biggest weakness for Oklahoma's defense. So I guarantee you they're feeling better than they did about a month ago, but they full well know that Baylor's bringing a much more potent offensive attack than what they saw last week.
Gabe, looking at Baylor last week, that doesn't encapsulate who they've been all year. That was probably their best performance, top to bottom. They've had a bunch of picks in the secondary, bunch of sacks, ran the ball really well, dominated the time of possession, just won in all the areas that you kind of need to win to win football games. Looking at Baylor, what concerns you most about what you see as far as a matchup for Oklahoma? And on the flip side of that, where do you see perhaps Oklahoma having a strength or a slight advantage over something that Baylor perhaps does?
Yeah, as far as what concerns me about Baylor for Oklahoma, I think it's the running game. I really do. I think when you look at how Oklahoma struggled defending the run against Kansas State and TCU and Texas and Kansas, like that, I know that, they had a get right game against Iowa State last week, but Baylor's running game, and I want to make something very clear. Jeff Grimes' offense is my favorite offense in all of college football.
Okay.
There you go.
I'm an outside zone guy. I think the outside zone play, stretch, whatever you want, I think it's the best play in football. I think it's God's favorite play. That's just how I feel about what Grimes does offensively. I think he's fantastic. Oklahoma, I mean, they haven't really seen a team that runs stretch as efficiently as Baylor's running it coming into this game. And I think the variables that play creates for a defense, I think it's really hard to defend. And Oklahoma's had some serious struggles defending the run this year, and I think that Baylor's going to attack them. And if that offensive line can continue to show a little more progress for the Bears, then it could be a long day for Oklahoma when it comes to stopping the run. And you guys know, just like I do, if Baylor can run it efficiently, man, that offense can get cooking. With all the play action game, with the boot game that they build off of it, it'll be a long day for Oklahoma's defense if they can't shut down Richard Reese in that running game. So that certainly concerns me. And then as far as what I think Oklahoma can do to Baylor, I do think that Baylor's lack of a pass rush from their defensive front could lead to Dillon Gabriel having a big game throwing the football. And we saw Oklahoma really come out aggressively against Kansas, throwing it all over the place early in that football game. I think that Oklahoma's best chance offensively against that Baylor defense is to throw it around a little bit. I think they'll attack the edges with the run game, try to avoid Ika as much as possible there in the middle of that defense. But I do think if Baylor continues to struggle to generate a pass rush, and I know that they just had themselves a day against Tech, but Oklahoma's offensive line has done a good job for the most part in pass protection, especially Anton Harrison. He's been an absolutely lockdown pass protector at left tackle for Oklahoma. If they can give Dillon Gabriel time, I think that Oklahoma's got the talent at wide receiver to do some damage against Baylor's secondary, which I think has been a bit of a weak point for that defense. And it's not just pushing it down the field. I think that Baylor's secondary at time has struggled to tackle in open space. So if they could maybe get a little more of the intermediate passing game going, which has not been a big part of Oklahoma's offense, but I do think you combine the talent Oklahoma's got a wide receiver and the fact that Baylor struggled to generate a consistent pass rush. I think Jeff Lebby could look at that and go, okay, let's maybe throw it around a little more, and they could do some damage through the air.
What a great segment, Gabe. Thank you, buddy. Great being on with you whenever I can with you and Teddy, and we love it, and we love you for being a part of this show, and great to talk to you, and good luck going forward with the talk show and much more. Thank you.
Appreciate you guys.
Game Day Live on News 10 is sponsored locally by TFNB, Your Bank for Life, Advanced Pain Care, and Central Texas Plumbing Solutions.
Hi, I'm John Proctor with Home Place Interiors. You know, nothing compares to the quality of an area rug to finish your house. Come by and save 50% on all in-stock and special order rugs. Come by Home Place Interiors where quality is affordable.
For all your flooring needs, visit Home Place Interiors at 523 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
I see many people who've had their life turned upside down by an injury.
I crushed my hand and broke it in 8 places and had soft tissue damage. I got a spinal cord stimulator and my device stopped working and I was devastated. We had to find a new neurosurgeon through Advanced Pain Care. They took care of all of it for me. They got everything back together where I can function.
Let Advanced Pain Care help you take your life back. Call today for a same-day appointment. Advanced Pain Care, the pain stops here.
Come experience modern luxury living at Portico at Friars Creek in Temple. Enjoy our pet-friendly Tuscan and loft-style Texas-sized floor plans with desirable features like stainless steel appliances, vaulted ceilings, designer colors, expansive walk-in closets, washer and dryer connections, high-speed internet access, and so much more. You'll love our community amenities like a zero entry and our resort-style pool with an inviting outdoor cabana. Find your next home now at PorticoApartmentsTemple.com. Portico at Friars Creek in Temple, a Case & Associates property. Find Case, find home.
Hey y'all, welcome back to Black Bar Barbecue Tailgate Series, brought to you by GameGuard Outdoors and Favors Barbecue. You maybe noticed I'm wearing this pimpin' new apron from my friends at GameGuard. It's awesome, all right? This thing is epic. I've already spilled, and this thing saved my life today. Today I'm gonna show you my take on a tailgate classic, armadillo eggs. Pimento cheese stuffed inside of peppers. Wrap those peppers in ground venison and brisket combined. Most people use sausage, breakfast sausage, or hamburger meat. I'm using venison. Wrap that in bacon, smoke it, sauce it. It's delicious, and it looks just like this. Smoky, pimento cheese, sauced, bacon wrapped. Beautiful armadillo eggs. Armadillo eggs. First, let's talk peppers. Jalapeno. I've also got some poblanos from the garden. I don't know why they're not bigger. I don't know why they're turning red. Haven't taken the time to Google it. They're about the same size. Real simple. Cut the top off. You can use your finger and just pull out the little thing of seeds. For the jalapeno, top off. Cut it in half. I like to just use my thumb to pop this out when I'm not doing a whole lot. You can use the back of a spoon or something. Just make sure to wash your hands well. Don't touch your face, all that other stuff that happens when you mess with spicy food. Don't be soft. There's a lot of different armadillo egg recipes out there using cream cheese and such. I like to be a little different and use pimento cheese. I like snacking on it. I like putting it in quesadillas. I like stuffing it in peppers. We're gonna season it with just a little bit of honey butter from Favorites. Barbecue rub, cream cheese, mash made in heaven. Mash this up. A little more honey butter for the people. Simple enough. Take your halved jalapeno, slap a generous amount of pimento cheese in there, put your other half on there, scrape off the excess, the overflow. This is gonna get encased in meat, bacon, it ain't going anywhere. Ground venison mixed with a little brisket and pork fatback. In my experience, this ground venison can get a little dry, so what I'm gonna do is add a little breadcrumb to it and some egg. The venison can get kind of dry, and I don't want it to get crumbly. I'm trying to create almost like a meatloaf or meatball type texture. That's a spicy meatball. Once the meat's a little sticky, but it's got good bounce, almost like a dough, we're ready. You can use sausage, you can use ground beef, but when you got venison, let's use venison. Throw down a little meat patty, make a little well, just kind of form this all up into a little egg. You can play with it as much as you want, but that's a good little meat egg. Got our armadillo's eggs made. Now we're gonna wrap them in bacon. I like to use the thin cut bacon for this so it actually has a chance of crisping up well and doesn't take 12 years to cook. 2 pieces thin cut bacon. Start at one end, press the bacon in, give it a good wrap. Gotta wrap tight, just like you're pulling around that tackle's hip on a trap play. Once again, going on with a little Favorites honey butter. It plays real nice on bacon. It's got some sugar in there. Give it some good color. Plus, it'll play with a little bit of the spice. You know, we got a little sweet, we got a little spice. We're making our own little sweet heat right here. Don't have to go too heavy, don't cake it on. Throwing these on old Marley today. We're not really worried about the temps we're running. We just want to make sure it's not too hot. Get this on there quick before Marley takes off on us. We'll give them probably 2 hours, mostly till the bacon's cooked, till it looks good. I might mow the yard. Oh yeah. I'd say these armadillo eggs are ready to be eaten. Smoked, glazed, and ready for my belly. This is my effort to get a good thumbnail picture. So I am gonna slice another one real quick just because I feel like I should. We're gonna go this direction. Oh yes, pimento cheese stuffed armadillo egg. This smells awesome, smells like bacon and meat's been dripping on the coals for a couple hours. Fantastic. That is some tasty venison, I tell you what. Smoky, tender, Almost got like a meatball type sausage texture. Juicy. It's not dry. No game flavor. But you can tell it's not quite beef. It's not all the way beef. Instead of just regular cream cheese, which is awesome, has its place, we're talking pimento cheese. Layers of flavor. One of these eggs is pretty damn hearty. 1.5 of these, some of them are bigger. 1.5 of these will be a good meal. Perfect for a tailgate. Highly encourage you to do this with your ground venison, if you have any, because it is a game changer. I'm gonna get myself just a little bit of 4 Escobar's barbecue sauce. It's a hitter. It's dynamite. I love pimento cheese. I love venison. I love brisket, bacon, barbecue sauce. This is basically, there's basically no way this is gonna fail in my book. I wish I could make a bunch of these for y'all to try at the tailgate because it is fantastic. And I think we might have some venison converts if you were to eat this and you had no exposure to game meat. Shout out to Game Guard for this awesome apron. We'll be rocking it at all future tailgates and videos. Thanks for watching. Tune in next week. Like, comment, subscribe. Tell me what you want to see next on the tailgate series. Thanks. Sick 'em Bears.
It was broad daylight. I stepped into a gas station for 5 minutes to grab a snack, and just like that, my car was broken into. They made out like a bandit. My laptop, my phone, everything. I called my agent to see what could be done, and he restored my faith in humanity. My claim was processed so quickly, and I was able to recover my losses.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Three Nations Brewing Company has 16 different beers on draft with a new beer every Friday. It also offers 2 air-conditioned tap rooms, a large indoor beer hall, a second-floor mezzanine offering a great overview of the brewing company and equipment and patio where you can relax under the shade. Plus, you can now experience the new Three Nations Beer Garden Grill on our shaded patio. Grab a cold beer and enjoy a bite from our freshly prepared and delicious menu. Street tacos, quesadillas, freshly cooked burgers and dogs, and veggie burgers too. Nachos and so much more, all prepared and cooked on site. So come visit the award-winning Three Nations Brewing Company on East Vandergrift off I-35 in Carrollton.
Richard Carr and his team are standing by the Bears in all sports this coming season, but Richard Carr's passion for football started many years ago when he was a trainer for the football team. In addition to his alma mater, Richard Carr also loves selling quality cars and trucks to his Central Texas neighbors. Whether you want the unbeatable GMC Sierra truck loaded with luxury and strong and tough for the workday, or the performance and ride of a Cadillac or Buick SUV, Richard Carr has an amazing lineup of vehicles for you. Stop by for a test drive, contact them online, or call and say sick 'em and you're immediately a VIP at Richard Carr Buick GMC Cadillac. Find them at Highway 6 at the Imperial exit or at richardcarr.com.
At Richard Carr, we give you more.
Pizza, burgers, and Bears football. There's no place around Waco that serves them all other than Bubba's 33. Come show your green and gold and enjoy some of Waco's best food and beverages while watching your favorite team, the Bears. When real Bears fans get hungry, Bubba's 33 is the #1 spot for ice-cold drinks, hand-stretched, stone-baked pizzas, and bacon-infused burgers. Join us for indoor or patio dining. Bubba's 33, Waco's restaurant and proud supporter of Baylor Bears football. Sick 'em Bears.
TFNB Your Bank for Life is the official local bank of Baylor Athletics. Find out why more Central Texas are making TFNB their bank for life. Sign up for our Edge checking and savings accounts to earn interest or cash back. With 5 convenient locations and an award-winning mobile app, banking has never been easier. TFNB Your Bank for Life. Member FDIC.
Game Day Live on Sick 'em 365 Radio is brought to you by Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, TFNB, Your Bank for Life, Richard Carr Buick GMC Cadillac, Three Nations Brewing Company, Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness, Edward Jones Advisors, Ben Erlinson, Chuck Verno, Brad Wilson and Cam Heathcott, and Bubba's 33.
Welcome back as we count you down to Baylor, Oklahoma in Norman in about an hour and 5 to 10 minutes. We'll hear back from Darby Brown up in Norman here momentarily. Also still to come, we'll hear from Baylor's Dave Aranda and RG3 on Baylor, and also some thoughts about college football. But we have some updates. First of all, TCU and Texas Tech. TCU 3 and out, punted. Texas Tech just outside their 35, 13-10 Frogs, led at halftime, and that's the score early, 2 minutes into the third quarter. A&M at halftime leading Florida 24-20. But news on that Texas Tech offense and on Oklahoma State's game against Kansas. Craig?
Yeah, Baron Morton out for the rest of the game for Texas Tech after getting his ankle twisted by a TCU player on a tackle. He limped to the sideline or appeared hurt and then went to the locker room. And now as they get the second half underway, it was reported that he came out in a boot. So Baron Morton in a boot and apparently out the rest of the day. Quentin Johnston's been banged up for TCU, but there's not like an official injury report on him. And then elsewhere, big news in the Big 12 as far as the Oklahoma State-Kansas game goes, as Oklahoma State making it official, no Spencer Sanders today. Not only no Spencer Sanders, but no Jaden Bray, no Blaine Green, no Braden Johnson, no Thomas Harper, no Hunter Woodard, and no Tom Hutton. Tom Hutton, the punter, who basically retired earlier this week. But, I don't know what the scuttlebutt was on all of those guys and whether all those were foregone conclusions or not. But I know Spencer Sanders was a question mark, and people weren't sure. And, that would make me flip my pick. That's why I was kind of, we got to make picks yesterday, and it's like you don't even know if the quarterback's playing. So this is one of those things, again, if they want to become a big betting sport, they're going to have to reveal stuff like that because that's just not – you can't deal with that information if you're spending money. So I don't think that means that Kansas is an automatic win in this game by any means, but Garrett Rangel, a young man from Frisco, Texas, will possibly be getting the start for Oklahoma State in place of Spencer Sanders as opposed to Gunnar Gundy. We'll see on that. But, yeah, no Spencer Sanders officially now, and no Baron Morton officially for the remainder of the Tech-TCU game. He's in a walking boot.
By the way, and good stuff, updates. Thank you, Craig. Texas Tech on a throw down the field with incredible coverage, almost could have been pass interference. One of the best catches I have ever seen. As a player was draped over the receiver, and I can't tell yet exactly who it was.
Travis Hodges-Tomlinson was the defender. So
the receiver going down, Hodges was right on him. He actually caught the ball on Tre'Vius Hodges-Tomlinson's back and then was able to get it around his left arm. And so they're looking at that as a review, but it looked like an amazing catch, in my opinion.
This is why you make your picks on Monday, Craig, and then no matter what happens through the week, you stick by them, like I have to because of the big one, too. And that might have just lucked out for me.
Shut up.
No, I don't think so, because if you had made yours on Monday and then it turns out Spencer Sanders was playing today, then you'd be feeling like I feel right now. But, yeah, it would just be nice to know who's playing. That's all when making picks on games. But, yeah, that's part of the deal. And no Spencer Sanders, but like I said, that doesn't automatically mean a Kansas win today. I haven't seen anything on Jalen Daniels, but we'll see how that goes for KU.
By the way, Rangel, one of two carries for 9 yards. He's 0 for 2 passing. I think he played a little bit against Arkansas Pine Bluff, and that was back in September. So that's the only particular information on him. But he was a really good player at Frisco Lone Star High School. And so Texas Tech, again, that pass has now been ruled incomplete. So there's my opinion and why they go to the replay. But it was one heck of an effort by both players in that one. All right, we're not done. Eli Drinkwitz, the story earlier today, Missouri football coach, a 2-year contract extension. We mentioned that because that was from earlier today. Oregon State beaten last night, 24th ranked. Beavers beaten 24-21 by Washington, in case that game came down late last night and you did not know about it at this particular time. Now we focus on Baylor and Oklahoma, continuing with our Game Day Live on CW Channel and 365 Sports. RG3, from earlier this week, we had a chance to visit with the former Baylor Heisman Trophy winning quarterback about Baylor and college football. It is always fantastic when we get a chance to talk to Robert Griffin III, Baylor Heisman Trophy winning quarterback, and right now a rock star on ESPN with what he does and a friend of the show. Day one, Robert Griffin III was a part of what we did back in April of 2020.
Robert, how much familiarity do you get when you watch Tennessee's offense?
Come on, guys. You know that's our offense.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it. To see what they're doing, not only just from a tempo standpoint, but how they stress the defense, throwing the deep ball. Hendon Hooker, I know a lot of people talk about his age, but you can't blame him for COVID and for everything that's happened. And he's playing in college still, and he's playing at a high level. I watched them throw the ball vertically. As Coach always told us, the only way to score is to try to score. The only way to try to put up points is to try to put up points. And that's what Tennessee does at an extremely high level. They throw the vertical ball. They run the football. Hendon Hooker runs just enough to keep a defense off balance and have them guessing about what's going to happen next. So I've been head over heels watching this team because, we have two coaches from our staff, really three coaches from our staff when I was at Baylor, that have run successful offenses all around the country, with Dino Babers at Syracuse, and then, of course, Kendall Browse as offensive coordinator at Arkansas, and Jeff Levy as the offensive coordinator at Oklahoma. I think those guys have been deserving and have earned the ability to go be head coaches. Of course, Dino's been a head coach for some time now. But Kendall and Levy, when you see what Heupel's been able to do at Tennessee, I think that gives other people confidence that, hey, this offense can be run at an extremely high level in the SEC or any conference around the country. And I thought the big thing for Tennessee last week going against Kentucky was their defense showed up. It wasn't a 44-41 game similar to what they did against Alabama. And if their defense shows up like that for the rest of the year, they're going to really be the favorites to win the national championship.
Robert, have you had a chance with all the stuff you're doing on the weekend and games yourself to watch Baylor at all?
Yes, come on, guys. Listen, we find the time. We make sure that we're locked in. If I call a Baylor game, I take a lot of I don't know what the right word is, but try to take the most professional approach I possibly can and take pride in the fact that I can call the game honest. Last year, we called the BYU game and the Oklahoma State game and got that feedback from not only the fans, but also ESPN that was able to, not be a quote unquote homer. So when I'm not calling the games, I'm a fan. Listen, this is my alma mater. I love the university. I love Baylor Nation, and I'm paid attention to what's going on, and looking forward to seeing how they go out and try to dominate Oklahoma.
Well, they obviously seem to maybe turn the corner with what they did in Lubbock, and the defense was flying around like a bunch of fire ants and beat up Texas Tech, and now in Norman. And ought to be interesting, of course, anytime I think about Oklahoma, even though it was home, is your throw to Terrence Williams and the dramatic win that maybe won you the Heisman Trophy and built a brand new stadium.
Yeah, the Oklahoma fans don't love that story. Of course, we know that. And but that was a special game, a special moment that took a lot of different people to make happen. Like even before that game against Oklahoma, when we were on the road in Lawrence, Kansas, and we were down 17 in, I think, the fourth quarter. People don't remember that game, but we do. All the guys on that team do, because if we didn't win that football game, there was no Heisman. Mm-hmm. And the fact that we were able to come back, Kevin Reese had a great game, helping get us back on track to set up that moment weeks later against Oklahoma with T-Dub, who just does what T-Dub would do, right? He was the quarterback's best friend. I scrambled out of the pocket. He broke his route off. I saw what he did and threw the football. The rest was history. And, he might have been a little dramatic at the end when he kind of like rolled out of the back of the end zone like he was hurting, but that was T-Dub for you. And that moment will always be etched in the history books. It'll always be etched in all of our minds. And Oklahoma fans have given me a tough time when I called the game just because of plays like that. But right now they're fighting for their lives. Brent Venables, 5-3 at Oklahoma is like, pigs are flying in their opinion. If they see 3 losses ever, they're upset. And I know that Coach Aranda is upset right now. He's not happy. He's looking at the positive side of being 5-3 when the expectations coming into the year were to go repeat as Big 12 champions. I think the adversity that Baylor has gone through this season actually shows you just how great of a coach Dave Aranda is, because a lot of coaches would fold in that situation, knowing what the expectations are, knowing that they're not going to achieve that part of it, but still getting their players and their team to play hard and get better throughout the season. I've also enjoyed watching Blake Shapen, recover from that BYU game where it seemed like the team and the coaches didn't trust him throwing the football when that was the main reason they picked him as a starter over Gary Bohannon. So I've enjoyed watching him come out and sling the rock around and have fun out there.
Robert, my last question for you from me, and I appreciate your time today. When you look, and you've been all over the place, you've seen I think Oregon State, now you saw UCF, Cincinnati, Michigan. You see everybody. Is there too much pigeonholing certain conferences as being better than others, even though some might be deeper, might have elite teams compared to others, but is it all pretty much the same?
Listen, you guys know me. You guys know me better than, most people probably do. And I've always prided myself in being honest and forthcoming.
Yep.
And the bottom line is, when you guys see me do rankings, whether it's the Heisman, top fives, or teams to watch, I don't ever do that based off of what fan base is going to engage the most. I don't care about that.
Amen.
If a post I do doesn't do well because the fan base that the post is about isn't that engaging on social media, it is what it is. So when I do my rankings, I do them based off of who I think the best teams are or who I think should get in. I don't think that 3 SEC teams should get in to the college football playoff when it's only 4 teams. That's not a college football playoff. That's an SEC championship tournament. I don't think that 2 teams from the SEC and 2 teams from the Big Ten should get in. Now, there's a lot of reasons that I think that, because if a team like TCU goes undefeated, they should be in the college football playoff. If a team like Clemson, who I don't think is one of the better teams in the country, but if they go undefeated and there's a 1-loss Big Ten or 1-loss SEC school, I think that Clemson should be in the college football playoff. So to answer your question, yes, I do think there's too much pigeonholing because of the strength of a conference. I do think there's too much pigeonholing because a team might bring more money and more visibility because of their brand. I believe that. Every single year, the University of Texas is ranked. It doesn't matter what their record was the year before. They get ranked. And you know why they get ranked? They get ranked because of the power that they have and because of the exposure that they can bring. Now, I do think that Texas is going to be better over the next 3 or 4 years with Sarkisian and obviously Quinn Ewers and Arch Manning coming in. I think they have players, and what I saw when we called the game for them against Iowa State was impressive. So it's not to talk bad about them in any way, shape, or form. But the bottom line is we got to stop acting like one conference is better than the other. Any team from any of the Power 5 conferences, in my opinion, at the top, can beat any team at the top any day of the week.
Robert Griffin III, great to have you on the show. Always appreciate it. Continued luck with what you're doing, the broadcast, and we appreciate your loyalty to what we do as well. Thank you.
I appreciate you guys. God bless.
Robert Griffin III, ESPN broadcaster. He's got A&M in Florida this week. He's had games throughout the country.
Central Texas Plumbing Solutions is the team you can count on to go the extra mile and resolve your plumbing problems quickly and thoroughly, getting it done right the first time. We want to wish the Big 12 champion Bears great success this season. Sic 'em Bears.
Cooler weather's moving in, and you know what that means. Warehouse clearance sale. I'm Carol Weaver with Waco Mattress Center. Don't wait until the end of the year sales like everyone else. Ours is going on now. This isn't the cheap stuff. These are quality mattresses, scratch and dent, as well as discontinued and one-of-a-kinds. Fulls, queens, and king-size mattresses, as well as adjustable bases up to 75% off. Don't wait. These savings won't last. Going on now at Waco Mattress Center. Thank you for your business and keeping it local.
My name is Carolyn Bess, and I'm Executive Director of the Waco Symphony Association. For 6 decades, we've been raising up future musicians by giving instruments to middle schoolers, scholarships for the Waco Symphony Youth Orchestra, and by funding Baylor interns in the Waco Symphony Orchestra. Help us celebrate our 60th anniversary by raising $60,000 for education and outreach. Invest in our youth today to make beautiful music tomorrow.
Central Texas Plumbing Solutions is the team you can count on to go the extra mile and resolve your plumbing problems quickly and thoroughly, getting it done right the first time. We want to wish the Big 12 champion Bears great success this season. Sic 'em Bears.
WTX has the most advanced technology, powered by Johnson Brothers Ford.
Baylor football coach Dave Aranda, David Smoak, 365 Sports. Did you see Saturday night's performance coming?
You know, we've been getting better week by week, and so if I were to predict that it would be like that, probably not. But you know, the practices really since the bye, and I know that that includes the West Virginia game, but we have been the best of the year, and the pre-games have been strong, and the half times have been good, and so there's just a feeling that you have. When it feels wrong, and when it feels right, and it's just felt better and better as we go. And so I'll take Saturday anytime we can get it.
How do you ensure that that's not the exception?
We talk about that quite a bit. You look at the Tech West Virginia game, and so what happens, and this is not to just, probably shouldn't use both those teams' names, but what happens is you have a great win on one side, and then you get, everyone sees it, and there is attention that comes with it, and then then the team that you're playing is not getting any attention, and then that feeds them, and it's all the external battle. If you allow it to get to that, that is just an up and down battle. You look at West Virginia that lost that game to Tech, and they're getting just all this, criticism and all this other stuff, and then they're kind of pronounced, they're out of it, and then they have a great game versus TCU. And so anytime it's the outside stuff pushing the agenda, you leave yourself way at risk. And so it has to be the focus on, for us, like motivation, like autonomy would be one thing, mastery would be another thing, what's our purpose, why are we doing this would be the third thing, to keep it on those three things, and not any of the outside stuff, which we know is still in play and all that, but we can't be driven by that, because I think just the up and down that we just talked about is, you can end up being a slave to it.
Dave, we've discussed your personality with Tony Dungy or Lovie Smith, or even back in the days of a Tom Landry. Some coaches are like what you are on the sideline, and some are fiery. It doesn't matter. But because of your personality, do you need vocal leaders more that actually are playing the game on your team? Not that you don't have them this year, but do you need that even more?
I don't know. I don't know if I was necessarily like silent, or I think for me on game day have been much more than last year, and it's because I need to. I think as we as coaches, we need to, just with the status of our team and kind of where all of that's at. But then I think with that though, and this just is probably too much philosophy, but I just think the reason why we do all of this isn't really to win. It's really to grow as a person. And
Game Day Live on News 10 is sponsored locally by TFNB, your bank for life, Advanced Pain Care, and Central Texas Plumbing Solutions.
What sets Hillcrest Dental Care apart is our vision of how we want to help other people be able to smile and be healthy and improve their quality of life.
When I came in, I had no teeth from here back because the bridge came off.
We were able to use dental implants, commonly referred to as a smile in a day, and literally take out the bad teeth and put in the new permanent teeth all in one day.
It looks natural to me. I don't feel guarded now. I'm enjoying my teeth.
When it comes to accounting or financial services, choose a firm where it's about you. At Patillo, Brown & Hill, we empower our clients to thrive and grow with a strong professional partnership that gets to know you and your business. Our longevity is a product of our top-notch team of innovative thinkers, critical problem solvers, and dedicated partners who provide a clear and comprehensive plan for your financial achievement. Patillo, Brown & Hill, because it's more than numbers and data. It's about providing peace of mind.
And we're back on Game Day Live on the CW channel, powered by 365 Sports. An update, Texas Tech. Tyler Shuck in the game now with a touchdown pass. 17-13 Tech in Fort Worth. And they are playing really well, leading that game as they are about midway through the third quarter. Florida has taken the lead on A&M 27-24 early in the third quarter. We are now joined by Darby Brown, KWTX up in Norman, Oklahoma. Second time we've been able to visit with Darby. And Darby, now less than an hour and 45 minutes or so before kickoff. A couple of things you want to share with us from just the last hour or so.
Well, I think the biggest thing, I just saw Monterey Baldwin and Squirrel Williams out there warming up, fully dressed, look like they're ready to go. Squirrel, oh my, there's band members coming at me. Squirrel Williams does have a pretty big knee brace on, but looks like they're ready to go. So that's the biggest update. Otherwise, just, the atmosphere is heating up in here for sure.
Darby, what's the weather going to be like? As far as, look, it's clear and beautiful, but is there wind? Is it chilly? What's going on there?
You guys, it feels like the perfect football Saturday. I mean, it's perfect conditions out here. So weather will not be a factor at all. The sun is shining. It even feels a little bit warm. I'm surprised because I was so cold this morning, but it's perfect out here right now. So, and little to no wind. Looks like it's going to be perfect.
Darby, when you were younger, were you ever in the band? Because you almost just joined the Oklahoma marching band.
No, definitely not in the band. I don't even think I could name most of the instruments. So definitely not joining the band, but I'm glad that I'm still standing here. That was a little close. They keep coming too. It's a huge band.
Darby Brown of KWTX with us on Game Day Live here on the CW channel. So again, huge opportunity for Baylor to continue this streak of winning a couple in a row, putting themselves in position for what could be a massive showdown with K-State. Oklahoma has turned the corner. And your thoughts about now Darby after a couple of wins in a row. Do we now know, is that last week in Lubbock Baylor's DNA going forward or not?
I sure hope so. I mean, last week, Baylor quarterback Blake Shapen said he felt like that was maybe I don't know if he said the first time, but yeah, basically he said it was the first time he felt like they'd really played completely as a team. And we saw that they were just firing on offense and defense, feeding off of each other, playing super physical, very aggressive, very disruptive. And I do think that's Dave Aranda's team, right? That's the physical, great defense that we've been used to seeing. And I think that they're slowly feeding into that more and more throughout the year. They had some young players. It took them some time, I think, to just sort of heat up and get into it. But I do think they finally found their footing. And hopefully it'll continue here today. But, I mean, I'm a little nervous. I got some butterflies in this atmosphere in here, I'll be honest. So they're used to it by now. I mean, it's been the season of tough road games.
I'll tell you this, and I was going to bring this up. You get to travel, as we do, covering games. You get to travel a lot on the road with Baylor. You've been to some amazing places over the years. Oklahoma, one of the meccas, right, of college football, a massive stadium, incredible fan base, tremendous tradition. And so is it pretty cool for you?
Yeah, it's very cool. I feel like you always get sort of juiced up when you're out here, even though obviously I've never played football ever in my life and I will not, but it's fun to be out here and feed off of that energy. And this place is definitely very, proud of the stadium that they have and the traditions here, and you can feel that. So the excitement, it just continues to build. So I think by kickoff, I mean, you can put me out there. I don't know. I'm going to be so amped up.
Well, have fun. Enjoy the day. Thank you for two great live cut-ins from Norman, Baylor and Oklahoma. 12, just after 2 o'clock, ESPN+.
By the way, Monterey Baldwin just ran up right there behind her right after that report.
That's a neat little nugget. Craig, the thoughts about both guys that did not know if either would play, and pretty good news if both of them can give it a go.
Yes, tremendous news on Monterey Baldwin front. He's somebody that really, Squirrel too, but just to a lesser extent, I feel like, week in and week out, Monterey and that wide receiving core was kind of all they had, it appeared, at least early on. And now you've had guys like Hal Presley and others step up along the way. But yeah, Monterey, that's huge. He's a big play waiting to happen. And Squirrel can be as well. To at least have somebody to perhaps spell Richard Reese a little bit, I think would be great for him because he basically had to do everything last week. So, have the combination of Quaylen and Squirrel there with Reese, I think that's really good news on both fronts for Baylor's offense.
All right, 17-13. Tech leads TCU. Quentin Johnston out for TCU. Tyler Shuck in at quarterback. Baron Morton and a walking boot out. We've mentioned that. When we come back, our thoughts and final thoughts on Baylor, Oklahoma on Game Day Live, 365 Sports, and the CW.
Richard Carr and his team are standing by the Bears in all sports this coming season, but Richard Carr's passion for football started many years ago when he was a trainer for the football team. In addition to his alma mater, Richard Carr also loves selling quality cars and trucks to his Central Texas neighbors. Whether you want the unbeatable GMC Sierra truck loaded with luxury and strong and tough for the workday, or the performance and ride of a Cadillac or Buick SUV, Richard Carr has an amazing lineup of vehicles for you. Stop by for a test drive, contact them online, or call and say sick 'em, and you're immediately a VIP at Richard Carr Buick GMC Cadillac. Find them at Highway 6 at the Imperial Exit or at richardcarr.com.
At Richard Carr, we give you more.
Did you know Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lakeshore Drive in Waco is open to the public? Next time you're in town for a Baylor athletic event or you're in town for tourism, take advantage of their day passes for $10 a piece or the weekend for $30. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness offers 40 group exercise classes, including indoor cycling and yoga, boot camp, and bar. New free weights, weight machines, TRX rowing machines, stationary bikes, new treadmills, new elliptical machines, and a spacious weight room floor. Personal training with Christy London, Randall Corley, and Alec Botch, where you will be encouraged to grow. Sauna, whirlpool, tanning bed, kids club, 16 tennis courts and 8 pickleball courts, and youth and adult tennis and pickleball lessons available. Waco's premier experience where you can help your mind, body, and soul. Visit wacotennis.com or visit them next to Hawaiian Falls on Lakeshore Drive in Waco.
Edward Jones Financial Advisors Ben Erlinson, Chuck Verno, Brad Wilson, and Cam Heathcott understand these are difficult and changing times we live in, but they know how important your financial investments are to you. So is your financial advisor staying in touch with you and helping you navigate today's financial climate? Invest with Edward Jones Financial Advisors Ben Erlinson, Chuck Verno, Brad Wilson, and Cam Heathcott, who invest their time and experience back to you and your money. And like coaching athletes, investing money is about time, patience, and encouragement. Contact Ben Erlinson at 254-759-8533, Chuck Verno at 720 North 64th Street, Brad Wilson's location at 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, and Cam Heathcott in Conroe. Edward Jones Financial Advisors, Edward Jones Financial Advisors, Ben Erlinson, Chuck Verno, Brad Wilson, and Cam Heathcott, proud sponsors of 365 Sports. Edward Jones, making sense of investing, member SIPC.
Three Nations Brewing Company has 16 different beers on draft with a new beer every Friday. It also offers 2 air-conditioned tap rooms, a large indoor beer hall, a second-floor mezzanine offering a great overview of the brewing company and equipment and patio where you can relax under the shade. Plus, you can now experience the new Three Nations Beer Garden Grill on our shaded patio. Grab a cold beer and enjoy a bite from our freshly prepared and delicious menu. Street tacos, quesadillas, freshly cooked burgers and dogs, and veggie burgers too. Nachos and so much more, all prepared and cooked on site. So come visit the award-winning Three Nations Brewing Company on East Vandergrift off I-35 in Carrollton.
Game Day Live on Sikkim 365 Radio is brought to you by Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, TFNB, your bank for life, Richard Carr Buick GMC Cadillac, Three Nations Brewing Company, Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness, Edward Jones Advisors, Ben Erlinson, Chuck Verno, Brad Wilson, and Cam Heathcott, and Bubba's 33.
All right, here we are, Game Day Live, to give our predictions on Baylor and Oklahoma up in Norman. An update, Kendry Miller with a long run that has put TCU deep into Texas Tech territory. It's now 6:44 third quarter, Tech up 17-13, leading that game. Paul Catalina, your thoughts on Baylor, Oklahoma?
I think that this should be a pretty back-and-forth game. I think the matchup, to me, I've said this all week, that I think is in Baylor's favor, is their run offense, the RVO, the reliable, violent offense against Oklahoma's defense, which is not great against the run and hasn't been all year long. I think that is the kind of tipping point so that Baylor can win this game, especially if they can avoid the self-inflicted wounds. I think Baylor wins a close one, but this is an Oklahoma team that's getting better. And Dylan Gabriel, to me, I've always been very impressed with him. I think he's kind of an equalizer, even when things are going bad for you, because he can make some plays.
Yeah, I expect a close game and a tight battle. I don't think that Baylor's going to be able to roll in there and, just take the Sooners out like it's no problem at all. I think that OU being at home and having gained some confidence with back-to-back wins, having Gabriel healthy, as Paul mentioned, and just kind of finding their footing, it's going to be a struggle, which is what you expect in November, when you're playing a team similar to you and you're at their place. So this is what you prepare and practice for and, think about. This is college football at its best, and I think it's going to be a great game. I like Baylor as so long as they play, similar to the way they played last week, but that's the big, intangible that we can't predict or can't bank on. They come out and they play, hesitant or nervous or, turn the ball over, obviously, then that's going to be problematic. But if they play a relatively clean game and just play with a focused mentality, I like them to win this game today.
All right. Right now, Texas Tech up, again, 17-13. TCU now inside their red zone as they've been able to run the football, now inside the 15-yard line. 5 minutes left in the third quarter. Thanks to Robert, Barely, here, Bear 84, Brian, Biscuits and Gravy. Thanks as well to John H., LT, Derek, Mick, and much more. Cesar Castellanos as well for what they were able to do and bring to us in the chat room. In fact, today, what just happened?
TCU just stopped Tech just stopped TCU on fourth down inside the 20.
Second time they've done that. Early in the game, TCU up 7-0. They stopped Miller on a short game behind the line of scrimmage or a short loss behind the line of scrimmage. And so Tech leading. And they're playing well. 17-13 late in the third quarter. Want to thank a lot of different people, of course, every single day. Thanks to Darby Brown and Chris Williams, Barry Bass, Andrew Hamilton, Josh Young, Garrett Ross as well, and all of our sponsors. We do appreciate you. I have Baylor winning 30-24. I'm not good at these things. I thought they would win in Provo. I was wrong. I thought they would lose in Ames. I was wrong. I thought they wouldn't win in Lubbock. I was wrong. And I thought they would win in Morgantown. So I was wrong. So hide, please, over the fact that I think Baylor wins 30-24.
I'm glad that neither of the other two of us are that dumb. We have picked all those games right.
I mean,
exactly right.
It has not been good. It has not been good. Our national picks, we're all hoping those work out, but we'll see what happens along with that. So, again, Craig nailed it. Paul, you guys have nailed it all week long. If, in fact, what we saw in Lubbock is more what we will see going forward with Baylor, and can they do it back-to-back weeks, or did they just get juiced up because it was Lubbock and it was sellout, blackout, night game, Halloween, and all that? I don't know. But if they have any part of that as their DNA going forward, which is what we thought it would be, then Baylor should be able to get their second ever win in Norman. But it took an elite team, remember, in 2014 to go to Norman to win for the first time and only time ever when they won in Norman back with Bryce Petty and company back in 2014. So, thanks to Garrett Ross again. Thank you to all of our sponsors that make this happen day to day. We'll be back again tomorrow or Monday at 3 o'clock on 365 Sports. Also, Paul has the post game coming up, of course, tonight after this one between Baylor and Oklahoma. So be a part of that on 365 Sports. For everyone I've mentioned, thank you. Enjoy the college football weekend. And this is the CW channel, 365 Sports and Game Day Live.
Central Texas Plumbing Solutions is the team you can count on to go the extra mile and resolve your plumbing problems quickly and thoroughly, getting it done right the first time. We want to wish the Big 12 champion Bears great success this season. Sick of Bears.
I don't know what any of this stuff is.
Is the Jeep not starting?
Token, can you please come help?